it's like you can't really, if I can understand how to deal with a con artist, then there's not many people that I'm going to be able to talk to, or that I'm going to talk to and not be able to get a quick judge of their character and what they're capable of.
I think it's also important to realize at a very young age, around 12, right? Like, the world has con people in it. I think when I was 12, maybe that was like a realization I had to come to myself, because it wasn't part of my, daily life or family life, that there was just like cons happening.
Yeah.
And maybe there were, I just wasn't aware of it. And so I think that's also like really pivotal when you start, the world isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There are con people here.
Yeah.
So
when he, well, a big part of it, I will say, that came up in my research and when I was digging around, is that he had a ridiculous amount of self-belief. And I think that that's largely when you're around people that are con artists, you can see how far just pure confidence, pure belief can take you.
Right.
A lot of people just associate con artists with trickery, but the real areas that they're dealing with and that they're dealing in is their art is confidence.
Right.
They're really good at portraying confidence, but they're also very good at putting confidence in other people.
Which is also a really common trait in a lot of successful founders.
Right. And we've seen that in so many people. When you look at Larry Ellison, when you look at Elon Musk,
Zuckerberg,
when you look at a lot of people throughout, Zuckerberg.
They like rally people together,
Well, even outside of just looking at their actions, when you look specifically at how people comment on them, a lot of people talk about their unwavering self-belief. We've talked about this on this show before, but Sam Altman has been quoted as saying that one of the biggest things that struck him when he first met Elon Musk was his level of confidence. It's contagious.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, we covered him a couple weeks ago. He was so confident in his opinion. Not only was he able to bend the will of his parents at an early age, he was so confident that people coined his effect on the people around him as a reality distortion field.
Yeah.
And so there's a real power in belief and being able to understand how it works and being able to use that in your business and the way that you conduct yourself.
And that match with a religious work ethic, that'll take you places. So I know his mom had.
So that's a really interesting insight, looking at the confidence and the misdoings or misleadings of his father and his mother, who's also very religious. I think that's a big thing too in the Christian faith. Belief and confidence is just a through line of the whole thing. And so seeing it in the good religious route, and then also in the more nefarious dealings, probably had a very big impact on his psyche and the way that he conducted himself.
It's a balancing act too, because you can't, you fall one step out of line there and you're either too far, into each camp. Yeah, it's very interesting. I know at a very early age, he got a job in Ohio doing some bookkeeping.
Well, his dad actually, dropped him off in the city because he was more on the outskirts. He dropped him off in the city and said, "Figure it out, son." And so not only did he have the examples in his parents, the teachings of his mother, but he also had the real practical experience at a very early age on how to fend for yourself and how to develop, and learning how to fend for yourself is a great source of confidence, especially at an early age, because most people, like you said earlier, aren't in a situation where they have to go in, find work, and find a way to sustain themselves at an early age. And so that grounding gave him a lot of confidence. But he eventually found that bookkeeping job.
That was in Ohio, I believe.
Yep. Did it on a whim.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't even sure how much he was going to get paid. He was just like, "Look, man, I'm about to get some cash. I'm good. I'm locked in. Let's go." And he was excited. It ended up being something that paid him pretty adequately and fairly for some time. But he also took it very, very seriously.
Yeah, I think, I believe, just doing some of the research on this, there was a story, I believe it was at this job, where he saw how much his bosses were getting paid. I don't know if you came into the same lore, but I believe it was, he saw a check come into his boss for like $4,600. He was making like 50 cents a day. It was drastically large amount of money, and he knew the combination to the safe, and so he would come in after hours, open the safe, and hold the check in his hand and just think about what it would be like to have that in his name. And so there's a little bit of manifestation there. There's a little bit of, just like understanding, okay, this is the goal I'm going to set for myself.
Yeah.
And then just being ruthless about getting there.
Yeah, I don't know if I came across that, but that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Being able to like pinpoint down that he like was able to
I think it's from one of
visualize and imagine himself in that space. And I think that's like a really powerful thing, because it sets you up to recognize when you're in that moment and continue to move forward, not get starstruck, but then also not fear the moment as well too.
Yeah, and also not be complacent with where he's at, right? He's got bigger ambitions. He's going to keep those ambitions fueled, by reminding us, okay, there's the goal. We're going to keep going until we get there.
Yeah, and as I continue to hear this as an experience of a lot of founders, Estee Lauder comes to mind when she talks about how her mother at a very early age told her that if she can imagine herself to be the most important person in any room, then eventually it'll follow suit.
Yeah.
And you see how far she was able to take that piece of information and go with it. And I often find that a lot of people have been given similar information, but it's the ones that take the information and try to maximize it that end up getting the most out of it.
Yeah. Most people, I think, have their filters on when they hear stuff like that. It falls into the woo-woo bucket.
Yeah, they're like, woo-woo, drop, woo-woo, drop.
So it's just like, I don't believe in that witchcraft or whatever. Like, you can't just think about things when they appear.
Yeah.
But it's all about having to put your attention in the spot where it should be.
Well, it's exactly where you should be, and then it's also planning. Like, a manifest is a plan for a long journey. And if we look at our bodies as the vessel, then we have to steer it and get from one place to another. And being able to plan through the use of our visualization, through the use of our imagination, can be extremely powerful, and it can be extremely potent, because we're not just limited to paper and pen, we're limited by our imagination. And one notable characteristic of John D. Rockefeller is that he was a great planner.
Yes.
And he was somebody
meticulous planner.
Very, very meticulous, very methodical. And I was reading it, I was like, this guy was like, he was a machine.
Yeah.